gave you more than I gave to myself. You had me on a shelf, but now I'm somewhere else. I was bending, breaking, lost in your storm. Now I'm a hurricane in my purest form. You tried to play me like a fool, had me doubting my worth. Nah, I flipped the script on you, reborn from the dirt. You thought I stayed down? Nah, new mindset, I'm putting me first. This ain't no apology, this my reign. No more bowing down, I'm done with the games. Toxic love, no, I broke that spell. I'm the villain in your story, I wrote you hell. Messy goddess, fierce, wild, unleashed, untamed, not mild. Messy goddess, feel the fire in my eyes. No chains.
This is the Mediocre Black Woman Podcast, the space where we side-eye perfectionism and take a digital deep sigh. I'm Goddess Thea, writer, speaker, tech baddie, HR baddie, and a certified high achiever people pleaser in recovery. As a woman who cares deeply about culture in our workplaces, in our communities, and in our lives, I started this podcast in response to Kamala's loss in the election. It was more than political. It was personal. Watching one of the most qualified women lose despite checking every box. It hit a nerve. It mirrored what so many of us go through, doing the most and still being told we're not enough. That loss made it clear. We needed a space for the truth, a space for the tension, and a space for the release. If you've ever been praised for your resilience when you really just needed a nap, girl, or been the only Black woman in the Zoom room holding back a scream, sis, this is your space. Sometimes I'm ranting, sometimes I'm reflecting, sometimes it's healing wrapped in a girl, let me tell you. Either way, this is where we stop pretending and start processing. Let's get into it. Hey y'all, welcome to the Mediocre Black Woman Podcast. So I am coming to you from Monday nights in the timeline. And I'm like a little low energy today. So y'all just rock with me. We're gonna get there. You know, it might take me a little bit longer to get there, but we're gonna get there. And before we get started, however, I do want to say that my heart is so full and so heavy, and it goes out to those affected by the flood here in Texas. My heart goes out to everyone, individuals and families that were affected. And y'all, I just have to say that I feel like every time I hop on this microphone, there's always something going on, you know? And especially post-election. I know things were always going on before, but it just feels like every time I'm like, oh, damn, there's something else, you know, the bombing in Iran, the Texas floods, the budget bill, like just, and the list keeps going on and on and on and on and on. There's always something. So, because y'all know this is not the space that we have these conversations on the Mediocre Black Woman. I have created a new space that's still attached to the Mediocre Black Woman. It's called TMBW After Hours. And with TMBW After Hours, that's where I discuss more of these types of things. Anything from leadership, what we can expect of our leaders is one of the first posts that came out. Politics, it could be dissenting opinions, it could be all kinds of things. That is a space for my more saltier things, because as I mentioned last week, that the Mediocre Black Woman is a space where we clock in to heal ourselves, right? And the after hours space is where we clock out and we talk about the tea, you know? And so I also wanted to curate it like that because of the fact that I want you all to also be able to choose what you see in your feed, because there is so much doom scrolling out there. There's so many things going on all the time, everywhere, all at once. So the TMBW After Hours space is your space when you're ready to clock out and go, you know, see what's going on, chat about the tea, chat about world events, things that are happening, you know, that are bothering us, right? That space is not going to be as consistently upkept because, again, it's just when we all have the bandwidth. And right now, that space is locked down as a paid only offering because I don't want just anybody over there, you know, because the kinds of conversations that I'm having over there will attract all kinds of folks. And I don't want all kinds of folks. I just want who I want over there. I feel like with the mediocre black woman, we have established enough, goodwill and good energy and enough standards of what our space and our podcast and our publication is about here. But with the TMBW After Hours, we haven't done that yet. So until further notice, it is a paid only offering. Okay. But it's attached to my Substack, the Mediocre Black Woman Substack. So you can find both publications on my Substack page, which is dope. And I'll also include links to everything here in the show notes. But yeah, I just felt like I needed a place to talk about other things and air them out without clogging up our Mediocre Black Woman feed, yeah, because there's just always something on my mind. I feel like there's always something going on. And yeah, it's just a lot. It is a lot. So anyway, if you all are feeling my energy today, that is partially that. Okay. But I'm gonna bring it back up for a little bit and get us to where we need to be. So this week, I'm also a little salty because of the topic for this week's episode. If you have been following me now for a while, you will know that I create with spirit and I am very obedient. I am very obedient when it comes to I hear a message, I take action on it. That is probably one of my strongest suits is that I can take action like nobody else's business, honey. I am the implementation queen. Probably why I've done some of the work that I do. Okay, so let's talk about this topic. Y'all see I'm like even dragging my feet on introducing the topic. Like here's the thing, I'll be obedient, but I'm gonna do it the way I want to do it. Okay? Like I'm gonna be a little bit petulant at the same time, okay? Ew. So we are in, oh my God, I am so salty today. You guys, I can feel it like ruminating off of me. Okay, y'all know I have an incense lit in here. And the scent of the incense is the scent of the incense. The scent of the incense is the spicy patchouli. And I really like the smell of spicy patchouli. But that spicy patchouli is how I'm feeling. I like feeling spicy, like the patchouli. Okay. Also, this week it's a Capricorn full moon and I'm a Capricorn sun. And I don't know if that's contributing to my to my saltiness on top of everything else, but that's just where I'm at today, you all. Like it is just what it is. Yeah, it's a Capricorn full moon July 10th on Thursday, but before the full moon even starts, we already are in the energy the week, leading up to the actual full moon. So we've been in it for a second. Okay, let's chit chat. So today's episode is about love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. Tell me why you hiding from me. Okay. Anyway, if you guys know who that song is by, right? No? Okay. Anyway, I guess this can go in the comments. If you don't, go ahead and say it. So I'm stalling. I'm stalling. Can you hear it? Okay. So today's episode is about love. Okay, so we're in our Dragged and Divine series, as you all know. And the Dragged and Divine series, as you know, always starts with a thought, right? So I was on. Here's a little backstory first. When it comes to music and, I don't know, pop culture, all these kinds of things, and people throw a lot of hype around something, I tend to drag my feet on going to listen to it or going to watch it because I'm just a little stubborn sometimes too, with certain things. I like to do things when I'm ready to do them, And I remember when Beyonce's Renaissance album came out, I had this friend. Every time she would come see me or something, or I would come see her, she'd be like, "Have you listened to it yet?" And I'm like, "No." I have not listened to it yet. And then one day on the way back from brunch, I rode back home with her and she put it on in the car. She said, we're going to listen to it right now. And I was like, okay. And she was like, okay, go finish listening to it at home now that you're home and let me know what you think and what your favorite songs are. I was like, okay. But I was going to do it, just not right then and there, you know, like I'll probably get into a Cowboy Carter album like later, you know, down the road. Like that's just how I am. This is who I am. Okay. I don't know why, but that's who I am. And again, no shade, no tea at all. Actually, I have a tattoo on my left wrist that says cozy because I love that song and I love the lyrics behind it. And actually, I have one of the quotes from the song printed up and it actually sits in my prayer closet. Because it just reminds me of like where I've been, you know, and she's like, been down, been up, been broke down, bounced back. Like I've been through life. I've been through a lot of life for someone my age. So anyway, I'm just slow and I drag my feet. So with that being said, the thought that came up on the airplane was related to a song. You know how Spotify will make those mixes for you where it'll just kind of curate something based on your vibe or like just a genre that you like to listen to. And so they made a really like a really fire hip hop mix for me the other day, a couple months ago. And yeah, it has a bunch of good stuff on there. It has that one song, I'll Be Good. Like, you guys know that song, Jay-Z and Foxy Brown. Tell me, how nasty can you get all the way from your hood to the neck? Anyway, so anyway, they made this really dope hip hop mix for me. On there was Megan's Plan B. And that's why I said, I know y'all are going to be like, well, that song's not new. I know that. I just haven't gotten there yet or hadn't gotten there yet at that point. Even though I really like Megan, I just haven't gotten there yet. That's all. But now I'm here. And so I was listening to Plan B by her. And the lyric that stuck with me was, ladies, love yourself because this shit could get ugly. That's why it's get money. And I don't give a if that leave tonight because that don't run me. You better get on your knees and eat this right before I have another do it for me. Like I really fuck with that. If you want to know all of the words that I was saying, you can go listen to the song yourself. I'm not gonna sing all the I cuss on here, but I have a limit too. Okay. I call it well timed and well placed swear words, you know, where it actually makes sense. You know? So anyway, that lyric stuck with me. And the thought that then followed was about like my own times where I've been, you know, caught up in love relationships that weren't so loving, you know. And actually, how old am I now? I'm 33. So I was married and divorced all before my 30s, right? So like I've done I've done some of this, right? But the thought that came to my mind was that nothing can ruin your self-esteem and your life trajectory by chasing someone or something that has proven time and again that they or it does not love you. That's what I wrote in my little notes. There's things and people that'll mess with your identity, your ego a little bit. And we're going to talk about some of that today. And I'm always reluctant to talk about love. Actually, y'all know I'm into the woo-woo, the occults, all things spiritual, like religious. I'm your girl for that. I have a cross on my neck and a tarot deck on my desk. Okay, like you know, Christian and African traditional religions, like that's me. Like you know, I'm all of it. But anyway, I love all of that stuff, and it's helped me understand myself, like just in a different way. Anyway, so I was at this metaphysical shop that I love to go to out here. And actually, sometimes I even just go there and sit because the energy is so good there. I be buying stuff, but I like to also just take my time. If I have like a longer, you know, more available Saturday or Sunday, I just go sit, you know. So there's a lady there that does something called aura photography. And I've gotten my aura photo done by her like probably 3 times now. And I remember the second time that I went to get my aura photo done by her, some really beautiful things and colors came up on my photo that wasn't there the first time. And she was like, do people come to you for love advice? And I was like, yeah. She was like, do you give really good love advice? I was like, apparently. That's why people keep coming to me. And she was like, why have you thought about like turning that into a business? And I was like, I did in the past, but I stopped. And she was like, why? And I was like, well, because, and before I could even get it out, at the same time, we both said, people don't listen. And I was like, precisely. Sometimes you got to let people go through it on their own for them to realize that, I maybe actually need to do this, or they need to ask themselves questions. You can't, when it comes to matters of the heart, people have to go through some of that stuff on their own, and that's really hard to like sit back and watch. But I have learned over the years, especially in more recent years, to like really give people the space to do what they need to do and not interrupt their journeys, and people ask you, great. Like sometimes you can also ask permission, like I talked about a few episodes ago when we talked about boundaries. But especially with matters of the heart, is very delicate, very sensitive, and sometimes you just gotta let people do what people need to do, right? Okay, so after I went to go see her a third time, the aura photographer, I had a spirit-filled day. This was a few weeks ago. And I, got my third aura photo from her and, hugged it out, talked to her. Because that's what I'd be doing. I'd be outside doing that kind of stuff. Those are my habits. And then I have been trying to find Black-owned metaphysical shops near me in my city. And I was struggling, to be honest. I thought I had found it, and then I realized it wasn't Black-owned. So it just wasn't clicking that day. But I found one that I at least had resonated with, because I wanted to try a new space too. So I went there and decided that I'll get a reading, like, whatever. So I'm sitting there, and there's this girl who had just gotten a reading, and she was sitting there waiting on her friend. And I don't know, like, how you like, your intuition is your intuition. So you be feeling stuff, you be sensing stuff, but you can't always fully explain it. That's what intuition is. You just know what you know, but you don't know why you know it. Sometimes, sometimes but sometimes you don't know. A lot of times you don't know. And I was just sitting there, and I had my back to this girl, but then I was just like, don't, like, I was kind of going back and forth in my head. Finally, I was like, are you okay? And she was like, yeah. Are you? I was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I guess it was nothing. So I turned back around, And she was like, well, actually, and I was like, oh, here it is. She's like, actually, you seem like someone who could give really good advice. Can I ask you a question? And I was like, of course. And without telling all of her business, because that's not my story to tell, she proceeds to ask me about decoding confusing behavior from a man that she once was interested in, right? And woo, I was like, damn, sis, we've all been there. So I spoke my piece to her. I gave her my feedback, my advice, and the main things that sat with me from that conversation, or things that I noticed that a lot of us as women do, is we spend so much time focusing on the why of a behavior versus the how a behavior actually made us feel, and whether or not we want to feel or be treated that way. Spending so much time on whether or not someone likes us, And the question that we should be asking is, do we like them? Do I like you? Like, that's why I love when Meghan says, you better get on your knees and eat this right before I have another. Do it for me, because don't run me, I run. And again, this is not a man bashing episode. Just want to make sure I say that too, because I know, some people feel some type of way, but this is not that. If you're a man, you've probably been here too, where you're like, what's up with this behavior that this person got going on, But I'm talking to women today, because this is the mediocre Black woman, okay? And I feel like we sit here again examining the behavior and trying to come up with justifications for it, and trying to understand why why does it matter if the behavior is still going to continue, you know? So again, it's about asking ourselves, do we want to be treated like this, you know? Um, yeah, so this is an episode. Again, this is not man bashing, but this is an episode about examining, right? Examining where we derive our worth from. And if our worth is derived from external factors only, then, we got some work to do. There is an author, his name is Steve Siebold, I'm not saying it properly. Steve Siebold. He talks about in one of his books about approval addiction, right? And don't get me wrong, as people, we all need some levels of validation, right? I don't think that it's healthy to be like, I don't need anybody's validation. No, like there's things that you want validation from. That's naturally human, right? So you can never fully erode that. But if your validation is only coming from outside, the call is really coming from inside the house. You need to work on, your own personal validation. So that way, anybody else's is extra, but that is a natural human thing to want that. I hear when people be like, I don't need nobody's validation. No, yeah, we do. We're humans. Like part of us wanting to connect and wanting to belong is, being in relationship with one another, having kind of some agreed upon norms of how you treat people in order to be in, proper friendship and relationship, right? So there is some desire to have approval, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it can't be your only desire, right? Okay. Yeah, because here's the thing. What happens if it's only derived from external factors? Then it's easy to forget who you are. How many of us have been there? I'm saying this, and I could feel everybody who watches this is going to raise their hand at some point or another. They've been there where you've been, forgetful of who you are because of a situation that you are in that you don't got no business being in anymore. Man, I'm just having my own flashbacks, child. And again, this is not for me to be on my high horse or nothing like that. When that lady said, you give really good love advice. The only reason why I can give good love advice is because I've been through some shit. Like, I feel like the people that have been through the most get the best advice. Like, people be like, oh, I'll never listen to this person because this failed or that failed. They know how to fuck it up and how to do it, like, wrong. So I'm going to listen to them because they got some stories. They got some scars and they didn't live to tell it, they done made it to the other side. So I'm not on my high horse here or anything like that because I have been there before. As I'm talking to y'all, I'm having flashbacks of how stupid I've been. And no shade, no tea. If you're in it right now, and I was telling my best friend actually earlier today when I was talking to her, I was like, damn, it feels so good not to be worried about somebody's son right now. Like I have been through it, and I have I feel like a good portion of my life, especially in my 20s, was definitely consumed by what some man thought about me and not what I thought about myself, and that's dangerous, especially when it comes to your character, your toxic habits, your coping mechanisms. There are so many things that I had developed as a result of not loving myself, like she said, ladies, love yourself because this shit could get ugly. Like that's really what it is, So anyway, when that young woman asked for my advice, I wanted to jump up and down for joy because that is wisdom right there. To ask someone, especially when you're younger, to ask someone who's been around. I guess she didn't know me, but she knew I was older than her at least, and she trusted her intuition. She could feel something there. So she knew she was talking to someone who wasn't gonna, totally lead her astray. Sorry. Anyway, I don't know why I'm laughing. That just tickled me. When you become the elder, I think that's what it is. Like when you become the elder, I'm an auntie to a few, nieces and nephews. And I'm an elder. Oh, child, that made me laugh. Anyway, so and I'm only 33, y'all. Like, damn, what's it gonna be like as we continue to get older? Shit. Okay. So I wanted to jump up and down for joy because I just felt like that was wisdom to ask someone who was older. And I'm choosing to believe, that she heard me and she's going to prioritize herself and her time, because that is the one resource that you cannot get back is time. So you have to be really critical of who you spend that time with and how you spend that time. Because again, love yourself, because this shit could get ugly, right? Develop some sovereignty before you're so eager to jump into a relationship, and then y'all know I love television, so I'm gonna tell y'all about a few shows that y'all should look at too. I was rewatching season 1 of Survival of the Thickest because season 2 had come out a while ago, and this is on Netflix, y'all. Season 2 had come out a while ago, and I never fully I never got into it because I wanted to go back and watch season 1 again because it had been so long for me. So anyway, I was rewatching it, and in that show, y'all know the main character is Mavis Beaumont, and she goes through a devastating breakup because this guy cheats on her, and she has so many opportunities to run back to them, but she continuously keeps choosing herself even when it is damn near impossible. And I love this because before the cheating happened, she was kind of like almost in this person's shadow. Like, she was doing her thing, she was really good at what she was doing, right? But her life was in this person's shadow. And I feel like it's very easy to get comfortable, very easy to forget who we are, and to just go along with the flow in relationships. And then you look up one day and you're like, damn, where did the time go? you know um, I used to do a podcast with one of my friends. It was like a little passion project and a way for us to spend more time together, right? Because both workaholics. She was a Taurus, I'm a Capricorn. We like to work. We gets down. So we were like, well, let's just host the podcast together and then we'll be working and we'll spend time together. Oh, tell me you're an earth sign without telling me you're an earth sign. But yeah, so we were doing a podcast, and one of the episodes was called The Good Wife. And when I was married, my in-laws and my ex-husband, they all used to call me the Good Wife. There was a show on television back in the day called The Good Wife. The main character was Alicia Florrick. There was a bunch of spin-off shows that came from that show. But that was during that time, and they used to call me the Good Wife. And I remember my friend in the episode asking me, she was like, were you like, is that what you wanted to be? Was that? And I was like, well, yeah, like, of course I wanted to be a good wife, but I didn't know what being the good wife actually meant in their eyes and in that context. And, I felt like my personality, my dreams, my vision, all of that stuff got cloudy. My character definitely got cloudy in that relationship too. I did a lot of things that definitely not proud of. And so again, I don't know. It's just who you are attached to will determine a lot of things about your destiny, your future, and if you decide and continue to actually go on the path, it doesn't mean you're totally out of the game if you take a detour for a little bit. But sometimes I do see, like, how long it takes you to get back up and heal yourself. And, so I feel like it's really important to choose wisely. It's really important to take your time where you can. If you're feeling rushed, that's not it either. You should be able to have healthy, honest conversations, right? And how does this relate to the mediocre Black woman? I know that that's the next question, right? But I feel like a lot of us as Black women, especially in this time that we're in, we are starting to make the decision that we are not struggling in love anymore, and we are not struggling in our lives anymore. And we are not picking things that make us feel inferior anymore. I actually had a reading before where the reader told me, you need to remove anything in your life that makes you feel inferior, And I don't know, it was really kind of, what's the word? It felt like a relief or like a deep breath, to be told that. because it was almost like permission to choose myself over and over again, you know? And so when you start to get lost on who you are and you get lost in a relationship, you don't make choices that are aligned with who you truly are, what your destiny is calling and expecting of you. So it's very important for us. And a lot of us have been conditioned that we need to settle, you know, that we need to accept less than what we deserve. And I don't believe that to be true at all. You know, you are worthy, you deserve it, all that, and then some. Okay. And so that's how this relates to the mediocre Black woman and to us as Black women. It's like, we don't have to accept the bare minimum in love, especially when a lot of us give over and above and beyond the minimum every day, you know? um just by being you, sis. Like, some of us, we go to the depths of the earth for the ones that we love. Like, that's just in our DNA, you know? And I also want to talk a little bit about like having love outside of romantic relationships, because I don't think that we get taught to cultivate that enough. And I feel like in cultivating that, for me, I have also seen what I like in potential partners, right? And love in potential partners. And listen, the next person that approaches me, if you don't treat me better than my friends, because my friends treat me damn good, you know? If you don't treat me better than my friends, what are we talking about? Like, you know, what are we even doing here, you know? And that's where I feel like the power of friendship for us as Black women is huge, because that's where we first learn to really, outside of our family dynamics, that's where we really learn how to be treated and how to treat other people and how to resolve conflict and how to really be there when it matters most. And, you know, and I saw this post on Substack that somebody put, they write about the women that prioritize platonic friendships, you know, platonic relationships, excuse me. And she had all these images of like girlfriends, you know, for the show, and of living single, and just all these female friendships that look like just an example of how it feels to be loved and be in right relationship. And we need to prioritize that. Actually, my sister, I text her a couple of days ago, and I told her, I was like, you know what I realized? She was like, what? I was like, you're my oldest friend. I was like, you have been my friend for 30 years. You know, she's my oldest friend. She's about to be 30. But she's my oldest and my dearest friend. And she sent me a card for Juneteenth, and I just got it today, and I was almost in tears. It says, create the dream. And it has this woman that looks like she's drawing stars, you know, and I'm not going to read y'all the whole message from the card, but it did sit with me. And I just, again, this is the power of friendships. And I call my sister my friend too, because of the fact that, like, we're siblings. And, you know, some people feel forced to love their siblings because they're siblings, but my sister is actually a really fucking cool person, you know? And I think that she's such a good friend. But so she said to me in the card, she said, I got this card at the Juneteenth celebration, and I wanted to get a card to send to you. This card spoke to me. There was a Black man and woman at the booth, and the man asked me why I chose this card. And I said I was getting it from my sister, and I explained that you are someone who always has a dream and desires more out of life. You are always creating and always aspiring for more. That is what I thought about when I saw this card. Y'all hear my voice cracking. I've been crying ever since, you know? But like, that's the power of a friendship. And then my other friend, one of my best friends, she knows I've been redoing my website. We finally built the website for the Mediocre Black Woman, by the way. But she went to go Google the mediocre Black woman today, and you know how Google will it'll like give you an AI overview of something at the top. And so it gave an AI overview of the mediocre Black woman, and she sent it to me. Check this out, y'all. It says, The phrase, the mediocre Black woman, can be understood in a few different but connected ways, often related to challenging societal pressures and addressing stereotypes, challenging the pressure to be exceptional. The mediocre Black woman is a podcast and a concept that embodies a rebellion against the pressure of Black women to constantly be exceptional. It's a space that encourages Black women to reject perfectionism and embrace their humanity, including mess, rest, and all. Those are like literally my words. The idea is to find joy in simply being rather than feeling compelled to constantly overperform. This concept is seen as a way to push back against the pressure Black women face to work twice as hard and still not be enough in professional settings. The term the mediocre Black woman can be a powerful statement that challenges the societal narratives and expectations placed upon Black women. And it's so dope because it's clearly literally a concept, and like my friend was basically trying to tell me, like, look what you did, like look at how it comes up now when it's on, Google. And so I'm sharing all of this to share like my intimate moments with my friends. Actually, I'll share another one. One of my friends, she was reminding me the other day because I had this epiphany and I was like, yeah, you're right. I've been in leadership development for over a decade, right? And I have created content and courses and trainings for some of the largest globally recognized tech companies in the world. And they're leaders, and I don't know, it just didn't really sit with me, but I don't know, I guess it's never clicked like that. Like, I know what I do, but she reminded me, a few days ago, like, hey, you know what you do, right? And I was like, damn. She's like, you know what you've been doing, right? I was like, damn. And here's the thing, like, this is not to be bragging or anything like that. This is just to show you that the right friends, the right people around you, and having that kind of support system is the first way that we experience love and the first way that we learn how to be treated, right? And so surround yourself with people that treat you that way. Because like I said, whoever this person is that's going to take me and sweep me off my feet or whatever, if you don't treat me better than my friends, what are we doing, right? You see how they uplift me, how they support me. My sister went out of the way and wrote a handwritten card, like, and sent it to me. Like, girl, like, like that really did something to my spirit. My friends are hyping me up and reminding me or showing me like, hey, you see what you did? Hey, you see who you are? Hey, like, look at your creativity. Look at your, that's love too, And so I don't want us to throw so much shade or forget about our, platonic relationships in, search of our romantic ones. I want us to also remember to embody those too, right? So you have a few assignments from me this week on this episode. The first one is to go listen to Megan's Plan B and tell me you don't get hype after listening to that. That shit gets me so hype. I'd be like, oh, I'd be thinking I'm a rapper. Actually, I don't know if y'all knew this or if you caught this. I know one person did in the comments on one of my posts, but the theme song that's at the beginning of the podcast, that's me. Messy Goddess. I recorded that last October, put it out in November of last year, but that's my song. Yeah, Megan makes me feel like I'm a gangster rapper. I'm not a gangster rapper. I'm an affirmational. If I was a rapper, I would be an affirmational one. But she makes me feel like a gangster rapper. So I like Meghan Thee Stallion. But go listen to Plan B. That's your assignment. I know some of y'all ears are a little bit sensitive to swear words, but focus on the message and not the words themselves, okay? Because it's really powerful when you pay attention, And here's the thing. I believe in love. I want love. I want romance. However, I don't believe that we should settle, right? Just because we want to have somebody. I've had the ring. I've done the thing. And trust me when I tell you, you want to pick based on your destiny, based on your purpose. And if you are still sorting that out, maybe you should sort that out amongst friends before you drag somebody romantically into it that you're going to be tied to for life, Sort that out with your friends that are going to be there with you through the ups and downs. And not that your partner won't be, but figuring out your purpose is key, because then it's easier to spot oh, this partner is someone that's aligned, is going in the same direction I'm going in, you know? So your first set of homework is to do your plan B. I mean, do your plan B. Do not do your plan B. Go listen to plan B on Spotify or Apple Music, whatever you do. Do not do your plan B. Go listen to Spotify and listen to plan B. I also want you to listen to this other song. It's called Game Over by Destiny's Child. Oh, love that song. And if my relationship don't feel like game over, I don't want it. That song is one that I want y'all to listen to as well. And then I want you to, if you have the bandwidth to pick up another series and you have Netflix, I want you to check out and tap into Survival of the Thickest, because that show is fire. Fire, fire, fire. Okay. That is your homework. And then also, if you want a relationship, because again, I'm assuming that most people do, but I don't know, you could not. If you want a relationship, make your list, right? And again, your list is not necessarily to isolate you from everybody. Like, you need to make the list in mind of like, these are the things that are really important to me. These are the things that matter, you know? So make your list. Also, don't forget, do I even like you? Like, that's the first question. When you start getting insecure, you start feeling like, oh my God, does this person like me? Are they gonna choose me? Remind yourself, do I like you? Have you even asked yourself that? Because I remember thinking to myself, I never really considered that. I just didn't even like process that I hadn't processed that. Does that make sense? So yeah, do I like you? Do I like you? And this is a perfect full moon to be sitting down and thinking about what you really want. Like, write down the details of what you really want. And if you're not sure, think about things that you don't want first, because sometimes that helps too. And then turn them into more of a affirming way of doing that, affirming conversation. Okay. So we have so much. I have some announcements now for you. We talked about TMBW after hours at the beginning. And now I want to tell y'all, we have launched officially our new Mediocre Black Woman website. So we have a home now. I was kind of waiting to make us an official homepage and website because I kind of wanted to just be when it came to the Mediocre Black Woman and post, do podcast episodes and get to know people and hear y'all's comments and talk to y'all and just see what people actually need before I started just creating stuff, because I'm good for creating, but does that mean that that's what people need or want? Like, that's a whole nother thing. So I spent time this past weekend. This is very Capricorn full moon of me. I spent time this weekend going through all of the comments ever on every single post. I went through all of the posts that their comments were associated with. I went through all the purchases and downloads of the guides. I went through all of that stuff. And I just thought about what I would start offering. It's funny because one of our Mediocre Black Women community members, they came to me and they asked me to do a personal reading for them. And I kind of laughed about it because I was like, I don't really do that for people. I do that for my friends, my family, and myself, and that's about it. But if you all have been following me for a while, you will know that with the Mediocre Black Woman, I had started doing collective messages on our Sunday Soul Sessions posts. And I was doing my own personal messages at first, like for myself every night. And I was doing one message and I was like doing it. And I was like getting the message that this didn't feel like it was just for me. It felt like it was for more than just me. And I was like, y'all want me to share this? They were like, yeah. Spirit was like, uh-huh. I was like, really? I don't want to do that. And Spirit doesn't really care about what you do or don't want to do. So I was like, okay, fine. I'll share the collective message, but it was supposed to be for me. But then it started turning as I was doing it. I was like, this doesn't feel like it's just for me. So I just shared it, because that's what I was told to do. So I did that. But yeah, I don't usually do personal readings, but apparently now we are. So I did one for her because I was like, you know what? you've been following me long enough. We have a relationship. Let's try it. Let's just see what it is, you know? And it went so well. And so I decided to start offering them, but I'm calling mine clarity sessions. Yes, they're readings. They'll be driven by the tarot. However, they are clarity sessions because, as I told y'all earlier, that I do have over a decade of experience in leadership development, coaching, learning and development, all of that. I am that girl in that area. I wanted to structure these in a way that always leads you back to your own intuition. I don't really care for offerings that will require somebody to need me forever, you know, or to be fiending and itching for a reading from Thea. Like, you know, I want you to trust your own intuition. That is my method and my mission. So I've created clarity sessions. But on top of that, I have also created my first, I don't like calling it a course, but that's how it's labeled on the website. It's a course around us practicing tarot together. So it's a reflective tarot series for Black women. It's called Spades and Shade. And like before I knew tarot, I knew spades, right? My mom and I would play together. She taught me how to play. And y'all know in our community, shade is usually, you know, something playful, but also truthful at the same time. And so that series has this essence. So it's a tarot, but it's self-reflective and it's intuitive. We'll explore each card before I share my own personal insights, and I'll give you prompts that will help you activate your intuition first, right? And we will be building the course as we go. So every 2 weeks there will be new content added to the course, and we're starting on July 18th. So between now and July 18th, there is a coupon code that I will be putting in here, and that coupon code expires on July 18th at 3:30 p.m., which is when the course will officially fully open. And you can pre-order now with that coupon code. After that, the price will go up, but it's a way for you to start trusting your own intuition, start playing with the cards if you've ever been interested. I love tarot and astrology, and again, like I said, a lot of these practices, but I don't feel like there's always a lot of us in these spaces. I know some amazing Black women who are in these spaces, but I feel like, you know, there could always be more, like way more, you know, when you think about the amount of tarot readers and astrologers that are out there in this world, you know. So with that being said, we're gonna reflect, grow, and learn together. So I'm really excited about that. Like really, really excited. If I wasn't so low energy today, you will be able to hear it, but a little bit more. But I'm actually like really, I'm excited for us to like go through that journey together. Also, the clarity sessions, I mentioned that. Okay, so in addition to July 18th being the drop of our Spades and Shades course, there's also our Black Friday. So on our new website, I created a blog. I know y'all like, you write so many damn things. You got the mediocre Black woman, you got TMBW after hours, and now you got the blog, the Black Friday blog. As I mentioned last week, Black Friday is where we consume and commune Black only. And we will start that Friday, July 18th, and every Friday after that. If you don't know where to start, guess what? You could start with the Spades and Shade course for the mediocre Black woman. Okay, honey? But if you cannot consume Black, stay home, have a potluck, have a gathering, have a community. Because I don't want this to just be fully about consumption. I want this to be about heart and about connection and about community, right? So where you can purchase Black, do so on Fridays, right? Only Black businesses on Fridays, starting from July 18th on down. And if you could start earlier, go for it. Let me know what you're doing. But that is where I will be housing all of my reviews and recommendations, and all the businesses that I've visited and frequented. And so, yeah, our blog is the Black Friday blog, and that's where we will talk about, and it'll kind of be a living directory of all the businesses. And so it won't just be like, oh, you should go check out this person's card or this or that. There's going to be a story where possible, because I like community and I like connection. I don't just want it to be consumer driven, consumerism, you know. That's why we're in the mess that we're in a lot of ways, right? But our dollars have buying power, and so I'm choosing to use my platform to amplify that as well. So Make sure y'all check that out. I'm going to put all of this in the show notes. And remember, you can also submit your Black-owned businesses to me. There is a form and it is linked into my blog. I'm going to put all of this stuff in the show notes for you. And I would like for you all to submit any Black-owned businesses that you're aware of, that you've used, that you like. And I'm going to check them out. Some of them I'll visit in person if they're in the States. A lot of them I'll visit online, but I would like to visit in person where possible because I can make a connection. That's what it's all about. That's why I started this space in the first place. Connection, community, healing, spirituality, leadership, all of it is together. Culture inside the workplace, outside the workplace. That's what I'm passionate about. So anyway, with that, I'm going to bid y'all adieu. And I just want to remind you, right, that do I like them? Do I like them? And you deserve love that doesn't ask you to abandon yourself. You deserve a relationship that doesn't require a massive recovery, child. You deserve a yes to yourself before any yes to anyone else. And don't forget about your platonic relationships. That is where we learn how to be treated, how to move in relationship, how to recover, how to. Those are where we learn. So that's my tea for you. And I will see y'all next time. Okay, bye. All right, sis. That's it for today. Thanks for listening to the Mediocre Black Woman podcast. Remember, you're magic even on your messiest days. Don't forget to share this with your bestie and tell them to share it with their bestie too. See you next time. Take it easy and take care.
Take up space. I'm the goddess of chaos, running my own